Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our evening session. I was going to talk to you about nutrition, right? As a matter of fact, I was in a talk this afternoon on somebody talking about food fundamentals, right? So, what this is all about is how is the modern understanding of uh, food and how is the ancient understanding of the food. See, if you look at that way, it's pretty educational to me and pretty revealing to me. As you know, I was raised into the in the I was raised in the tradition of allopathy in India, and I did my MBBS there, and I kind of came here to US, and I was more like uh, really not aware of anything that's going on in the ancient times with nutrition. But then there was this Indian um, medicine, like that was called Ayurveda. We heard about that, but we didn't know the details. But we were eating food based on that, and we didn't know about that because most of our parents and grandparents, they kind of grew in that tradition, and just by like that, they were able to cook and maintain lifestyles as per Ayurveda. So we carried the food traditions without really understanding what is the deeper philosophy, right? And after I became the physician, after I see the nutrition in modern medicine, I wasn't convinced that we are doing the right job. So then, when I studied Ayurveda, because I heard something like in Ayurveda, food is medicine, right? So once I kind of understood that, then I said, okay, I have to pay attention to this and understand what that is all about. Then I went into Ayurveda and studied it and understood that's based on awareness and consciousness and a lot of understanding about the energies of the foods and how those energies match the energies within us and how we can be very tranquil by the type of foods we can consume. That was the that was the incentive for me to go deeper into that. So then I studied the modern medicine understanding of the diet, more like a reductionist, like everything else. Okay. So I thought that was not enough, and we should understand the older, wiser versions of ancient wisdom, right? And still, I would say, still I'm a student about that, but I understand better now what they mean by natural food, what they mean by not stored food, what they mean by these different qualities of vata, pitta, kapha within us and in the foods and all that. So much better understanding. So I don't think we should blame the modern way, but kind of understand the limitations in that modern way and then fill up those gaps from the ancient wisdom. That's more like what I'm doing right now. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys as I go on exploring this. Okay. So I kind of titled this talk as From Calories to Consciousness. It's a gentle invitation to explore nutrition beyond measurement, where ancient wisdom meets modern science. And every meal becomes a doorway to our deeper understanding. Okay, that's what I'm going to try and present it to you. Hopefully, you will all be interested and want to understand that. Okay, that's how this talk is going to go. And I'm going to invite people after I'm done presenting this for maybe 10, 20 minutes, probably, and then you can really understand how this is going. Okay. Uh, so, nutrition, big topic. This is one of the four pillars of the wellness I talk about. And when I really talk about that, that seems to be attracting a lot of attention because a lot of people have this important problem with nutrition. They don't know what to eat properly. They don't know how to eat it properly, and so they don't know how to really present that such a way that they understand the problems very well and then correct them too. So that's what is going on in this nutrition system, right? So as we explore this further, and you will see how the whole thing is really taken into account, right? Uh, so what does the modern system has that we should be understanding? That's the first thing that we should really know about it, and then we will know. Okay, so modern system is more like a simple reduction system. Like we want calories from the diet, and we want nutritious food that produces these calories for our energy, and eating, digesting, and assimilation, and all that. Right? That's all because we have been doing that for a long time now. Okay, so reductionist system in modern way is not going to really help us, okay, as much as it can help the you know people can understand in a reductionist way, but doesn't make sense whether that is appropriate for the human beings, right? So the bridge is between knowing who is eating, why they're eating, and all that too. Really understanding into who is the real person behind it. That is the problem with the modern system. Is we just think it's a machine-like body, and it will take the so many things uh, from our um, we eat food, we break down from macronutrients to micronutrients separated. Then we have the digestion, is the enzymatic process that transforms food, right? And then we have the absorption of the nutrients across into the bloodstream, right? Then we have the metabolism, which is the cellular conversion to ATP energy, and then function, growth, repair, vitality, and all that. That is the modern nutrition science has gifted us extraordinary precision and clarity. We can now trace food's journey through the body with a remarkable detail, from the moment macronutrients and micronutrients touch our lips to their transformation to cellular energy, like the steps I described above. Through enzymatic digestion, absorption across intestinal walls, and assimilation into tissues, food becomes us, right? And then cellular metabolism converts the nutrients into ATP, the molecular currency of energy, right? That's what we understand. This energy powers growth, repair, and every bodily function, orchestrated by our circadian rhythms that regulate our digestive process with exquisite timing, right? This knowledge is not merely theoretical, it is accurate, life saving, and deserving of profound respect. That has no doubt about it. It has eliminated deficiency diseases, optimized athletic performance, and extended human longevity. No doubt about it. That is our modern scientific nutrition. That is always there. And what about the other one? That's what we want to understand. What about the ancient viewpoint? So from respecting what we learned from this science, but we want to ask, what is the question science does not ask? Science masterfully explains how food becomes energy. Biochemistry traces every molecule transformation. Sure, physiology maps every systemic response, and amid this comprehensive understanding, certain questions remains unanswered by the modern science. What are those? Who experiences hunger? The sensation arises, ghrelin signals, but who knows this knowing? And who is aware of the digestion? That stasis occurs, enzymes activate, but who witnesses this process? Then who knows energy or fatigue? ATP levels fluctuate, mitochondria respond, but who feels that vitality? So ATP explains movement, neurochemistry explains signaling, hormones explain condition, coordination. Yet none explains knowing itself. The measurer remains unmeasured. The known, the knower unaccounted for in equations. The knower, that's the one ancient wisdom tackled about and explained to us. Okay, so once we understand this, then you'll know what's going on. Okay, so this is not a failure of science. Okay, this is not. The science is not a flaw in methodology. Okay, it represents a natural boundary, the edge where quantitative measurement reaches its limits. This is the science by design concerns itself with the measurable quantity, how much protein, how many calories, process, pathways of metabolism and digestion, and mechanisms, the cause and effect in biological systems. Awareness itself, the field in which all measurement occurs, cannot be measured. You cannot measure something unmeasurable. Yet, awareness is undeniable. What remains unmeasured is not therefore unreal. A complete understanding must include both. Okay, so that's where I really want to help you to bridge that gap between modern science and the ancient wisdom. In ancient, there was a radical statement. They said, Annam Parabrahma. What does it mean? Food is the absolute reality. That's what they said. Food is the absolute reality. This declaration from ancient Vedic wisdom is not poetic metaphor or spiritual romanticism. It is a precise ontological claim, a statement about the fundamental nature of existence itself. When the ancient seers proclaimed food as Brahman, they were identifying food with the ultimate ground of being. At first encounter, this seems absurd. But how can something as mundane as food, subject to decay, digestion, and elimination, be called absolute? The answer requires us to look beyond our habitual categories, right? So once you go into that category, then you will see what's going on. Okay, see why food was called absolute reality in ancient wisdom is arising. The body come formed from food consumed by parents, right? That's how we take shape as a infant, and then sustaining every cell maintained by continuous nourishment. That's why we need food all the time. And then dissolving the body waste or return to the earth, becoming food again. So the absolute is traditionally defined by three characteristics that form or from which all arises, everything in the existence, and that by which all is sustained. That is true. And then that into which all dissolves. These are things we take birth, we grow, and we die. Like that. So observe food through this lens. When you observe food through this lens, your body literally arose from food. Nutrients consumed by your mother became your cells. Your body continues to be sustained by food. You are rebuilt molecule by molecule every few years. That also we know. Every 6 months we kind of change our body. So when you die, your body returns to the earth, decomposing into nutrients that feed other organisms. So food is existence in circulation, not a thing, but a process. Not matter, but transformation itself. The wave, not the particle. Okay, once you understand that, then it makes a lot more sense of why they said food is absolute reality and everything comes from it, everything goes into it. Okay, so Food is not a low level reality means ancient seers described human experience as existing in nested layers, each subtler than the last. This model, far from being primitive, offers a sophisticated map of embodied consciousness. The food body is not the lowest or the least important layer, right? It is the fundamental doorway, foundational doorway. Say, disturb the food, and the mental clarity becomes impossible. You'll be hungry for 3 days, and then you will be really worried about your how you are thinking and all that affects, right? And that's something people notice that. Okay, harmonize the food, and awareness naturally clarifies. That's why they call sattvic food, which is harmonizes you. It becomes. This is not a hierarchy, but intimacy. The physical is not separate from the transcendent. It is the transcendent made edible, tangible, and immediately available. From food body, okay, you get the energy that becomes the energy body, and energy bodies have thoughts and emotions. That is the mental body, and then you have the discernment of what you're thinking, what has thrown it. That's the intelligence body, and then you have pure contentment and really. So they describe this as annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha. Okay, food body, energy body, mental body, intelligence body, and bliss body. That's how they describe the physiology. That made a lot of sense to me, when I talk to my patients and when I see them in that particular lens. And I was able to help them much better that way. Okay? So, how you look at it, what kind of perspective you do. So, if you want to complete the scientific story, science traces luminous arc from food molecules to ATP to function, right? Each arrow representing decades of research, thousands of studies, meticulous validation. This arc is true and remains true, no doubt about it. Yet, a complete picture extends in the sequence of function, experience, and awareness. The heart beats, pumping blood, that is function. You feel your heartbeat, that is experience. And you know your feeling, that is awareness. So material science is more like a ATP powers the body's mechanisms. And experiential reality is awareness illuminates bodily experience. And then unified understanding, matter and consciousness are one continuum. Food does not create consciousness as if awareness were absent and then suddenly produced. No, rather, consciousness appears as food. This infinite takes the finite form. The edible becomes the sacred doorway. You get it? That is how this whole thing in ancient where the awareness, consciousness is very important. And people are coming to that. The modern scientists, modern neuroscientists, modern consciousness workers, everybody is coming to that. As the ancient said, consciousness first, then the manifestation of our body and mind. Okay, like that food also. So suppose you have eating as communion, not as a consumption. So when you can see food only as a fuel or see food as the reality itself. If you see food is as fuel, eating becomes mechanical, devoid of any presence. Waste becomes normalized, excess without awareness, and attention fragments, meals consumed while distracted, and nourishment reduces to optimization. There is no joy, joy disappears. But when the food is seen as a reality itself, eating becomes reverent, an act of participation. Gratitude improves the digestion, mind body coherence. And awareness enhances your assimilation at cellular level also. The wholeness is experienced, not merely understood, experienced. Consider this: the eater, the eaten, and the act of eating are one reality appearing three times: subject, object, and action, dissolving into one single movement of life nourishing itself. Life nourishing itself. Okay, that's a. So I'm giving a gentle invitation. You do not need to abandon science. Keep the biochemistry precision. Honor evidence-based approaches. Maintain intellectual vigor. Yeah, these are treasures, not obstacles. And add one question: to whom does this nourishment appear? That question is the doorway. Okay? Not to reject what science knows, but to complete it, not to diminish the body, but to honor the awareness in which the body appears. Honor the awareness. When nutrition feeds only the body, we prevent disease. But when it honors awareness, we restore the wholeness. Annam para Brahma. Food is the absolute, briefly edible. It's always there. It's going to be in form, one form or the other. Okay, so that is my presentation, and really, maybe it's not um, comprehensible on the first go for a lot of people, but once you have this profound understanding, food can be understood and taken as medicine itself. How you take it, how you keep absorbing it, how you eliminate waste, everything. So when I really advise people in the comprehensive self-care for burnout, that's the program I have, where four pillars of wellness we focus on. The first pillar was vital nutrition. Second pillar is exercise. And third pillar is quality sleep. And fourth pillar is how do you handle your thought, calm the mind, and all that. So first pillar is nutrition, where do you get the food from? How do you get it? Do you grow, or do you get it from organic market, or do you pick it up in the super bazaar? There are so many problems with these chemicals, preservatives, and all that. Okay, so that's why you have to use our brain and get the food either grown in our own backyard with compost, natural manure, or we go to the organic place where organic food is sold to us. That's one thing. And then how do you prepare? Who is the one that is preparing? You know, and who is the one that is serving, and who is the one sitting down and eating? That's important too. A lot of people eat on the go now. They have a wrap, they kind of hold it, and they are walking and then eating, or driving or eating. Now, take 5 to 10 minutes, settle down at the table, sit down and chew slowly and savor the food and enjoy the food. And then go by your diurnal rhythms. Eat when you are really hungry, and eat according to the work, according to what you are doing. And that would be very wonderful. So you don't have to do the fasting again. First eat all the 24 hours, all the snacks and everything, and then no, don't do it. Eat it as light breakfast, then a kind of lunch is good lunch, because that's when the your fire of the digestion is the highest, agni they call it, and you can digest lots of stuff at that time. And also, don't eat a heavy meal and go to bed. A light dinner and go to bed. Okay. So, but this is a connection between modern investigative nutrition versus ancient consciousness built awareness, and then really knowing what is going on with our experience of the food, with our allowing to be digested properly and then assimilated properly. And how do we treat the food? Do we treat it more like a fuel, or do we eat more like a that is absolute reality itself in continuum with other practices of ours? Does that make any sense for you guys? I think that may be not interesting for people unless they are interested. I'm a physician. I'm a coach for the burnout, and vital nutrition is a very important topic for me. That's why I went deep into this and understood it. You know who is the first beneficiary for that? I am. I kind of switched a lot of habits that I had before, and I kind of changed them with learned experience, not just like that. And lots of foods, Indian foods, made sense to me because they had this tamarind rice or yogurt rice. They're all kind of well to this, all this way to really give us probiotics in a major way, and also reducing our inflammation in a major way. And they had spices, different spices mixed so that they can match with our energies of the body. And then suppose you are lethargic and you are consuming heavy food, that lethargy will grow. So you change the food light, that is easily digestible. Then when you have that kind of diet, you can run, you can do stuff faster, think faster. That's called rajasic. That's there too. Suppose you want a balance of peace and quietness and all that. That's called sattvic. When you are reflective, meditative, and all that, then you consume the sattvic foods. Sattvic foods are fruits and vegetables basically. Okay, so when you look at that, it makes a lot more sense. And what I ended up was being very compatible with the nature foods, plucking from the trees and plants and then eating them within 45 to 1 hour. And don't cook them too much, but more like raw, if I could do. Otherwise, boiled food, and really avoiding salt and oil as much as possible, and also eating only when I'm hungry. But when I eat, I sit down and chew very carefully and enjoy my food, savor my food, and be grateful. All those things help a lot. My diurnal circle of feeling hungry, eating, digesting, and then eliminating the waste, that was in a cycle. And that itself gives you the vitality, right? Does that make any sense to you guys? So now anybody wants to come up. Earlier I could not allow anybody because I wanted to complete my presentation. This is like a presentation for the nutritionists, doctors, and cooks of various that's what I wanted to present that with, because there is a new mixture of knowledge of ancient wisdom and modern scientific evidence based knowledge, and we can combine both of them, understand them better, and really be natural and help ourselves that way for longevity and better health. That's what I'm enjoying. That's what I'm presenting to people. There's nothing like you got to throw away everything that you know. No, nothing like that. But learn some of the things that we forgot from the ancients. Go and visit and then learn these ancient arts and ancient diets, ancient way of eating, raising food and eating that and preparing the food and preserving it all. They're more natural. So they were eating seasonal food because plants and the trees, they grow food, and what according to the weather they are in, according to the season they are in. So it is much easier for us to go into that kind of thing. Okay, it agrees with our system much better. So lots of times they believed that we were in a balance in our body, and food has to supplement that and restore that balance, not taking us out of balance. Okay, so that's a very important point to remember. Okay, so this is a kind of specialized lecture like for people of nutrition, people of healing, like physicians, like coaches who are really advising people to understand nutrition and provide better nutrition. Lots of people don't know what they're eating, they just eat whatever that is put in front of them. And then that is being changed now, right? Most people are very intelligent and seeking out information and changing their diets and then eating better. But still, look at the growth of the fast food industry. Look at the food that is stored, that is traveling for a long time. So there are so many practical things that we could avoid. Switch to fresh food. Eat fruit before you eat meal. Eat when you are hungry. When you are eating, sit down and chew the food. All these small things make a big difference for people, right? They can be like that. So I'm going to expand on this um, presentation to other groups who come in large numbers sometimes. Then I'll be able to help them how to help diet, help our mental conditions, help our energy, help our vitality. So you have to understand this is a continuum thing. It's not like a food is gone and consumption gone. The waste goes to the plants and then they become the manure for them, right? So that we know very well. So we have to understand that and preserve that, right? I'll be inviting some people that I know on some apps so that they are really working on the nutrition and keep learning and using their knowledge to improve the health of the patients, right? I'm friends with a lot of dietitians, a lot of nutritionists, so I'm going to ask them to understand the bigger perspective that we can bring in from the ancients and combine that with the latest. Then we will be able to better serve our patients to in the recommendations of nutrition, not just the calories. You have to bring in that consciousness. Okay. Somebody wanted to come earlier. I don't know who it was. Was it David? David, you can come up if you want to have any question. All right, I'm done with my presentation. Like I said, I want to build a bridge between the modern nutrition and the biochemistry that is involved with it, which I'm trained on, and I was given a lot of information in the medical field, versus what did the ancient, why did they say that food is medicine? How did they use food as medicine? That was fascinating thing for me. I have to admit, I learned a lot from that. I have to admit that kind of implemented. I don't have to do fasting separately. I don't eat unless I'm hungry. It's as simple as that. I my weight is always in the range, stable. I don't gain a lot of weight. I don't lose a lot of weight, right? And I'm energetic. I have the vitality to do what I want to do. I have the clarity of the mind. All these are because of the ancient wisdom. You know, um, I may be modern physician trained in that, but I also helped a lot of patients change their diet, and thereby they were able to cut down the medication somewhat. And some people really took out them off completely. That was there, but then you have to maintain that discipline of eating properly, right time, and all that. Not fix a time like a lunch at 12, dinner at 12. No, it's more like, am I really hungry? What I'm eating, is this really aggressive? That kind of, uh, that kind of. uh, discipline has to be there, right? Okay. Maybe I'll have to announce this topic because of the um, spectrum of discussion it can provoke, and also the importance of the whole topic. I think many of us were operating in ignorance, especially what happened in our yesteryears. Why did the ancients live long? In yoga culture, it is said that people were living 125 years, and they were not confined to nursing home. They lived with the families, they lived in the farms, they lived in the working, and they contributed significantly even in the 80s and 90s. So that was there. So there is a possibility to live longer, but longer with vitality, longer with energy, longer with meaning and purpose. Okay, that is there with all of us. Okay, so you can think about that, and then this bridge I'm going to build a little bit more, basically telling people how my understanding from ancient to modern kind of really helped myself and my patients also. Okay, so it's all that the moderns we know as the reductionist medicine is not complete. We need to have more, ask more questions, and that was there that's going on. Okay, so thank you, and I will see you again later on uh, for some other topic. Okay, bye bye.